بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And welcome to today's program, a Friday program that we usually have, and it's a live program in a more interactive session. Today, however, due to the fact that I am currently at home and not doing it at the East Plano Islamic Center Masjid, usually Imam Nadim, who is the Imam at East Plano Islamic Center, he and I, we do this program together, and it will be more on of a live aspect. And it's him and I kind of taking in the questions and answering it based on whatever you, the youth, again, this is the youth program, um, so whatever your questions are, what your thoughts are, and what you want to share with us, and that we can go ahead and, in the light of Islam or just in general, just talk about it. However, this is today specifically will be slightly different. Inshallah, we are hoping that by next week we can streamline the process where we are able, where Imam Nadim and I are both able to come together and sit and do this session live without any issues, inshallah. But today I just wanted to mention a few things on change and how to cope with that change. Um, all of us right now are feeling so many things and emotions, and it's just pretty much at this moment it's all pent it up, or it's just something that you are letting it out, but you're letting it out in a negative way. And that's what we want to talk about today, and that's what today's topic is that how can we how can we cope with this change that we have, because this is a change in itself. Everything that we're facing right now is different. It's not normal, right? And today, it being Friday once again, it just feels like this emptiness in our hearts, and you just don't know who to talk to, who to turn to, what to do, right? So let's just talk about this. First of all, what are ways that we can deal with these changes? And first, I do want to mention that we all, to an extent, change is something that is good, and we realize it. And also, we know it is bound to happen, right? The difference is, though, is that what if there's that unexpected change, a change that completely threw you off? And this situation is this example, right? This is the perfect situation where I can say shows, and it's pretty much that this is our unexpected change. How do we deal with this? Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's easy for us to say, yeah, no, you should think positively, and let's just move forward, strive forward, and just keep doing good things. But at the same time, it's realizing that, okay, yes, I have this change, but how can I come to terms with it? So the first step, right, is knowing. And this was an ayah that, I'm sure you guys have heard this multiple times, but we're going to mention it again. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, and where Allah clearly says, "We will surely test you with something of fear, of hunger, and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits," right? So that shows that there will be that unexpected change. That, because obviously, if we knew that this was going to happen, how would we react? We would have prepared way beforehand, right? And even then, it would felt like, okay, yeah, no, it's still not enough. That preparation is still not enough. But we would have done something. We would have planned out all our outings. We would probably go all out, if anything, right? Make the most of it. But instead, this just came just like right there. It just came, and it just came out of nowhere. But this change, this change that is upon us, is something where Allah wanted us to experience this so that we can just realize that even this change, we don't have control over, right? Sometimes we think that we have total control over our lives. And that's probably like what you're feeling right now, that, oh, I have control over my life. My parents don't control me, right? My friends don't control me. My situations do not control me. Allah does not control me. But that's where you're wrong. Allah controls every situation, everything. So if you feel like you just need to just let it all out, right? Because again, being cooped up in that house, interacting with your parents nonstop, just wanting to just go out and breathe, right? And I'm sure like everyone's just taking that moment to just step out for a few minutes and take that breath of fresh air, taking a walk outside, obviously keeping that distance from your neighbors and from other people who are walking out. But what is it that is making us so agitated and so annoyed? It's that fact that we're not accepting that it's us, that we do not have that control. If we accept that no one controls us, true, and we do not even control us except for Allah. Allah is the one that controls us. But at the same time, does that mean we do not have a choice? We've got that choice. Now, this may seem very repetitive to an extent, but again, these are the much needed reminders to help us put things and make us realize that all these struggles and all these issues and these conflicts that we have, right? Whether it be with our family members, because again, who are we interacting with right now? We're not really interacting with teachers so much, so we don't really have any issues with them. We're not really interacting with relatives as much as we normally would. So probably there aren't as many issues with them as they would be on other days. We're not really, to an extent, we're not really interacting with our friends, right? Or like, we're trying to keep it to a minimal, and that's really tough. But who are we interacting with the most? The most right now? Our parents, our siblings. And how are we treating them? How are we interacting with them? Is it now come to a point where you're just like, I've had it up to here now. That's it. I cannot deal with this family, right? But this is where we have to acknowledge, we have to accept, we have to realize that this has now come upon us, whether we like it or not. You do not have the control of the situation, but what do you have control over? How you're going to react to it. Running away from your problems, running away from your issues, just trying to shut your mind off completely by getting yourself involved with things that otherwise, like your parents would completely say no to, or Islamically that this is not right, that by doing this certain action, you are not getting Allah's pleasure, but you are getting his displeasure, or you're not benefiting from it in any way. But what do you feel? You feel that like self-satisfaction. Oh yeah, like, I defied my parents, or I went behind their backs. I did this. And so you feel that sense of accomplishment to an extent that they didn't even realize it, and you kind of cheated them, that you went around and did something that hurt them, right? You have to realize that these, the issues that we have got to face them head on. Our issues in our families, our issues amongst our friends, you have got to face that. Because if we hide from it, if we run away from it, if we do not communicate, communication, you need to have that one way of communication where you're talking, whether if you're able to talk to your parents during a time of conflict, say alhamdulillah that you're able to do this. But if you're not able to do this, then still find someone that you're able to talk to communicate. Let them hear you out and be open to hear them out too. Communication will not only be one-sided, because then that's just venting, right? That's just you blowing off steam. Communication is where you talk to someone and someone's going to communicate and talk to you back. So if someone's giving you that advice, that in this situation that you're dealing with right now, how are you going to cope with this change? You talk to someone, you communicate, you acknowledge the fact that we're all in this together, that we're all dealing with this together, right? I mean, like in my classes, I mention to you guys all the time about communicating with Allah, right? But let's now bring this into a physical person. Who can you communicate physically? Now, again, East Plano Islamic Center, you girls know that you have me here. I'm here, right? And inshallah, this is just a side note for the Epic Youth girls. From tomorrow, we're going to have our hangouts with 2 different age groups and different sessions. And inshallah, I'll message you guys all the details so you don't have to worry about that. But that is just something where we're going to get that communication going, right? Because this is what I feel right now in our community with you youth girls, is that we're now lacking in communication. We're not able to talk to each other. And this is what we're not only missing out on, but it is affecting us. It is making us feel like we don't have anywhere to turn to. We don't have anyone to talk to, right? And again, and inshallah next week we'll have Imam Nadeem here with us too. Hopefully I'll be able to go to the Masjid and we'll be able to do this entirely live. But alhamdulillah, we also are truly blessed to have our scholars, and we have Imam Nadeem to help us out too, right? And I mean, I've heard from multiple girls, you guys have mentioned that you feel comfortable in speaking to Imam Nadeem. So that door has not closed either. Just because you're not physically seeing us anymore does not mean that we're not here for you. We are, right? But all we ask and all we want is for you guys to also be able to communicate with us. We can't work with you. We can't help you unless you want us to, if that makes any sense. And that's what you girls have to sort of come to that understanding, that by keeping quiet, by just, shutting yourself away from everything, right? And not talking to your parents about this, not talking, or maybe like, talking to your siblings, but your siblings not being able to help you out. Okay, yes, they're there to hear you. But again, that's not what we need. All of us need someone to give us this advice, including me. I need someone to give us advice, right? Like I need someone to give me advice. You guys need someone to give you advice. So we all need each other. We have to realize that it's not just every man for himself, right? And obviously, we've got that joke that it's not, yeah, okay, in this case, it's every woman for herself. But that's not the case. We are all here for each other. And we have to be united in this sense. We have to be united by helping the masjid out in whatever way possible, by donating, even if it's just a few dollars. We have to be united that when our friends are facing a situation, we don't just leave them alone. We don't just say, oh, but that's just her problem to deal with, whatever. I mean, she'll figure it out. Just give her, just leave her alone. No, we are here for each other. We have to support each other. And this, again, and I'll tell you, and I mentioned this multiple times, that the younger youth generation, Girls, you know this, that if we're not here for each other, then what's going to happen when we're adults? We're all going to live our life very selfishly, right? It's only going to get worse from here on out. But if we make this change now, then it will only be easier for us as adults, because we will have proven that the youth in this society, we are not selfish. In fact, we're the opposite. We're selfless. We are here to help each other out. We're there for each other, right? That's what we've got to realize and actually take that action. Go ahead and speak to your friends. Be like, what are you facing? Come on, let's talk to each other. But it's not that kind of talking to each other that let's just, okay, you just rant and I'll rant and yeah, just agree with each other. No, give some productive advice, right? Help each other out. And if anything, again, I'm here. Our scholars are here. Imam Nadim's here. Brother Murad is here. We're all here for each other. So these are things that, is one way to cope with change. First of all, acknowledging that we have to accept that this is the change that is on us. What can we do? Now, number two, also realizing that the change that we have right now is good for us. And we've mentioned many eyes on this as well, that this change that's taking place right now is good. We need to have this change, right? And again, you guys can go back to the playlist that we've got and go back through the other videos as well, really quickly, short reminders, but it just all brings us back to what our reality is. This is our reality, that we are weak, that we do not have control, that we thought we owned our life, but we do not own our lives, right? Now, another way that how can you cope with this change? How can you deal with this change? Think about this. Any kind of routine that you guys can get into is the best way of dealing with this change. And it's the way it'll be productive for you. And what do I mean by that? I mean to say that get yourself into, okay, I'm going to get myself into a full-on routine day by day. I'm not just gonna, those blocks of time where you're just kind of like lazing around, just mindlessly watching TikTok videos, mindlessly making TikTok videos, right? That's great. Like, if you want, go ahead, spend as much time as you want, but within reason, within balance. Don't neglect your prayers during this moment, right? Seeing the Masjid empty. This is the third Friday. The third Friday, at least for those at East Plano Islamic Center. For you youth girls, you know that this is the third Friday we have not had our FNL, Friday Night Lights youth session. This is the third Friday we have not prayed at the Epic Masjid. The third Friday where we have not actually met each other, hugged each other, said salam to each other, had hot chocolate with each other, hung out with each other, right? It's so sad. It's so sad that it hurts that, what did we do wrong? We have to look at ourselves and be like, where did I go wrong? Did I go wrong that I was at the masjid, but what was I doing in the bathroom? Making videos of TikTok. And don't deny it. Don't deny it, because you girls know that I've mentioned this multiple times, because I've seen that. This is something that I'm not trying to like call you out or anything like that, but this is something that we have to realize. Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong that we're coming to the masjid, but behind something else is going on? That words are being exchanged and they shouldn't be exchanged, right? Meetings are happening that should not be happening. Hugs are being exchanged should not be. This is what our society ended up turning to. That's what happened. That is what, if you want to talk about reality, that is what reality is. That is what displeased Allah. That is what made him so upset that he started seeing things happening in his own masajid, in his own home, that he was like, no, this is not happening. But he gave us this punishment, this small punishment. Imagine the small punishment. Girls, please understand, this is not something that I'm trying to lecture you girls on, but I'm just trying for you guys, just think about it, that the things that we do, Allah loves us so much, which is why we're facing this right now, and we're not facing this in the hereafter. Because on that day, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, or when we're in Jahannam, may Allah protect us from the fire of Jahannam. Ameen. Right? We don't want to go to Jahannam. But he doesn't want us to either. So he's saving us from the hellfire. He's already protecting us from the hellfire. But how is he doing it? He's doing it by showing us in a different way. That I used to bring you to the masjid every Friday, but you girls were doing something else. You girls were not coming entirely for me. You girls were just coming to just hang out instead, or create conflicts between each other, or you were doing things at the masjid that you knew were not permissible, but you were instead following your desires. So Allah put a stop to that, because He, our Lord, He has full control. He is Al-Malik. He is the owner. And He has that control. He has that power. Al-Hayyu Al-Qayyum. He's ever living, everlasting. Right? He's got that quwwah. He's got that power. And none of us can challenge Him in this. So this is just a small reminder to you girls that think and reflect and ask yourself, where am I going wrong? By shutting yourself out to the entire world, by running away from your issues, by saying things like, I want to do things, I need to find myself, and the way to find myself is to do things that no one would ever allow me to do, and then move on from there. You don't know. What if, and may Allah protect us, and may Allah give all of us a death that is it's a husnul khatima, that your death is not going to be something where you were doing something that displeased Him. And how are you displeasing Him? Even by simply hurting your parents, by saying hurtful things to them, by slamming that room door, by locking your room, by not coming out and speaking to your parents the entire day. That's how you're hurting your parents. But instead, if you just communicate, if you talk about what you're facing, right? That is how you'll be able to cope with that change. That is the way you'll be able to cope with that change. And it's not even just by coping with it, it's by how that change will end up being something where you are grateful. You actually start to feel like, okay, I'm alhamdulillah, I took my parents for granted. So these are small things, inshallah, just a reminder to you girls. And inshallah, I do hope you girls will show up to tomorrow's hangout. And we're going to keep it a fun one. And again, if you have any questions, then you could always talk to me. I'm here for you. Imam Nadim's here for you. We're all here for you. And all you have to do is just open up, communicate, right? Because this is the time where we can shut ourselves away from the world, but internally we're feeling so many emotions, and we're hating on everyone, and we're swearing at everyone, and we just want to, we're angry with the world, with our parents, and we just have to realize that we don't need to. We don't need to be. We can take this change head on, and we can take this change in a positive way. We can take this change in a way that inshallah, a few months from now, when we all come together in that circle, we will be so happy, and we will be like, yes, I got through this. It will be our accomplishment. Do you not want to have this accomplishment? Absolutely. I mean, I cannot wait for us to just get out there and just hang out and enjoy our youth lounge, right? Just let it all out, right? And inshallah, it's just a moment, just a matter of time. But for this moment, let's take this change in that positive way. And I'm just going to mention one more thing, inshallah, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had faced so many unexpected changes too. Death in one was an unexpected change, of Khadija radiallahu anha, of his uncle Abu Talib, right? He experienced so many unexpected changes. When he was migrating from Mecca to Medina, and the way he had to leave Mecca in secret, he could not even leave like, oh yes, I'm leaving Mecca. The way he left Mecca was in secret so that he would not get caught, so that he would not get killed. Subhanallah. But was this not change? And how did he take this change? That by the end of it, there was that accomplishment that Allah honored him through this change. And Allah will, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, He will honor us too with this change. But all Allah wants us to see is that gratitude. Allah wants us to see that positivity. Allah wants us to see that obedience to our parents, speaking good to our parents, not running away from our problems, not running away from this world, but taking it head on, because shaitan wants you to do the opposite. So inshallah, we will end here. Jazakallah khair to you all, girls. Inshallah, we will continue with this next week, hopefully live. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.
إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما.